Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Phil Switch. I'm Phil Carute, and I am joined by my fearless co-host, Brock. Tamarino, the Phil Switch podcast is brought to you by Sal's Tire Caps. Sal's Tire Caps. Paul, have that one guy read this. Paul.
I think I remember getting an email from Sal one time, and I think he thinks your name is Paul.
That doesn't... So he thinks the host for the Phil Switch, he thinks the host's name is Paul.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
All right. Well, I also don't know who that one guy is. So, Sal's Tire Caps, hot or cold, they cost the same. Sal's Tire Caps, ladies and gentlemen. Brock, I was thinking of calling up Gerald, the gentleman that has done ads before and now is a motivational speaker. I was kind of curious how he's doing with the ad reads and motivational speaking. So I thought we'd get him on the line today and just kind of touch base with him, see if any of our listeners have any questions for him.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. No problem. Is he on the line? He is on the line now. Gerald, welcome back to the Phil Switch. We just wanted to check in on you, see how you're doing with your ad reads, how the motivational speaking is going, and, how you've been doing.
Hi, guys. Gerald here. Things have been going pretty good with the advertisements. I've been getting some more work here and there. Motivational speaking's a little bit on the slow side, okay? But I think things will start picking up again as we get into the summer months, okay?
Very good. How's everything else been going?
Oh, it's going okay. I'm kind of excited. The other day I was walking through the mall and I was walking past one of them stores. People sometimes will call them a hippie store, where you kind of look in and they got all kinds of stuff that doesn't make any sense going together, okay? And anyway, on the wall they had one of these ninja swords, okay? And I went in and I asked the person, I said, hey, I see that ninja sword on the wall, okay? And he said, okay. And I said, well, I was wondering how much that sword would be, okay? And I'm not going to tell you guys a price because I don't want people thinking I'm some kind of rich guy or something from all the ad reads I do and stuff, okay? But anyway, you guys might not believe this, but I've always wanted a ninja sword since I can remember, okay? And I went ahead and I bought that ninja sword.
Wow, a ninja sword. Have you ever taken any martial arts, or have you studied what is it, ninjutsu? Is that what it's called?
I don't know, okay? I just wanted the sword, so I got the sword. I started swinging it around my house. I tell you one thing, that sword is sharp. It's real sharp. The guy said you could easily he said you could cut right through tomatoes. He said, whatever you see, you can probably cut through it. I said, what about a tree? And he said, well, not a whole tree, but I was like, well, it can't cut through anything, okay? And I kind of laughed, and I think he thought I was trying to be, what they call that, considerous or something like that. And anyway, I got the sword, and I brought it home, and I've always seen people when they get a new sword or some kind of knife or something, okay, they usually cut up paper. Well, I took a brand new piece of typing paper, and that, I tell you what, that sword cut right through it, okay?
That's a sharp sword. I know the paper thing. I remember when I was younger, when I'd get knives, I always cut paper, and it would, it's kind of cool to see it cut right through that. So have you tried cutting anything else with it, Gerald?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because so my nails need trimmed a little bit, okay? So I thought, well, I'll just see how good this sword does with cutting my nails. Well, anyway, I had what I call mishap, and I cut off half of one of my fingernails. So the sword is very sharp, but now I'm out a brand new piece of typing paper and half a fingernail.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely gotta be careful when you get stuff like that, like knives, swords, or something like that. You gotta be careful, especially since, as you said, you don't have any experience with it. You gotta be doubly careful, really.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way, okay? But I do like that sword.
Oh, hold on one second, Gerald. Stay on the line, if you will, because we actually we were going to let some listeners call in and ask you some questions about some of the work you've been doing. We actually have a caller on the line right now, Daryl. Daryl, we have Gerald on the line. What would you like to ask him?
All right, man. Well, I was just kind of sitting here in my man cave here, right? And I thought, well, I'll turn on that field switch, and before I knew it, I heard Gerald talking about a ninja sword. Now, Gerald, I got to ask you something. Do you know if this is one of them katana blades, like a ninja sword, or is it a samurai sword?
Oh, I guess I never thought about that, okay? A lot of times, I gotta be honest, I just kind of assume every sword's a ninja sword.
Well, I mean, I'm not a sword expert, but I think there's a difference between a ninja sword and a samurai sword. And I don't know if you've seen that movie Braveheart, but I guarantee you, if you see that sword up on the wall, you ain't gonna think that's no ninja sword. I mean, that's a honking hunk of cheese of a sword. You know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, that makes sense, okay. Well, yeah, I remember the sword from Braveheart. I remember that sword. I really like that sword. I wonder if that store had that sword on sale. I have to go back and look, but of course I probably have to sell my ninja sword so I can afford the Braveheart sword. But yeah, no, I don't know if it's what you call it, a katana.
Well, from my understanding, I think the ninja sword's like a straight blade, right? I don't really know. And then the samurai sword, I think, is like a curved sword. And the reason I was asking is because I had a buddy back in high school, and he was into all that ninja stuff. He was jumping around. In fact, me and him, we watched the dickens out of that movie American Ninja. Is one of our favorite movies. I tell you that guy is tough as nails. When he fought that guy, and didn't he tie his eyes up or something like that, and he couldn't see, and he was fighting another army or Marine guy or something like that. Anyway, one of my favorite movies. And I think they have like straight swords. And I think them samurais have them like banana curved swords like that, something like that. I don't know. It's some kind of ninja samurai thing, but do they come from the same place? Maybe samurais and ninjas are the same.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience in all that. But I think there's a definite difference between ninjas and samurais.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the sword. It has a nice black and blue handle, and the blade is like, I think it's like I don't know if it's like a silver or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question, Gerald. Daryl, do you have experience in ninjutsu or samurai stuff? Oh, no, just my friend. Of course, I've seen movies, but I was just curious because I've been looking into getting myself a good sword, and I've been thinking to myself, I was like, if I had a sword, that'd be kind of fun to, kind of walk around, just see what's going on around town. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you one thing right now. Now, I saw that movie, Indiana Jones, and there's this point where a guy pulls out a sword, and Indiana Jones got his gun and just shoots him. And I tell you, that made a lot of sense. People always say don't bring a sword to a gunfight. But I'm telling you one thing. You're walking down the street and you got your, head up, shoulder back, chest out, and you're walking around, you got a sword on your hip, and it really sends a message home to people like, mess around and you might just find out.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry. So what are we talking about?
That's a great question.
Yeah, no, I've thought about that too, just carrying my sword around. But I asked the guy at the store, I said, there are a lot of people that are carrying around these swords. And the guy said, well, we don't recommend it just because it makes people feel uneasy. And I said, well, it's just a sword, And the guy did say something about like samurais or like sheriffs or something back in the old times.
Yeah, that's what I understood. So you have your samurais, right? And they're trying to defend what they call it, a province or something like that, right? And people come in, they're like, hey, we're going to mess this place up. We're going to throw stuff around and kick dirt up in the air. And the samurais come out there like, we don't think so. And these guys will be like, get your hashime stuff out of here. And the samurai's like, I'm about to show you some hashime. And they show that thing that, like mess around and you might find out. And before you know it, people are like kicking up dirt, and the samurai takes out his sword and he does like his little thing, and the guy's legs flying over across the yard there.
Well, I don't know about that. I was just thinking that I would just like to carry around. Maybe people think, oh, hey, there's that guy's got a sword, okay? And I bet we're going to be real safe if we're with him, okay?
Yeah, I got to jump in here, fellas. I think I would agree with the store guy there. I think carrying a sword around is a bad idea in general. Maybe like Daryl was saying, in the ancient times, the samurais might have been trying to protect the neighborhood or something like that. But I think today, by today's standards, you might not want to carry a sword around, especially with it being in its sheath and I mean, I guess maybe if you're dressed up like a samurai, it would be okay. But
No. I think you're right, Brock. I think carrying a sword around, like to the grocery store, things like that. I think carrying a sword around is probably a bad idea. I'll tell you something else a bad idea. Somebody jumping up behind you, scaring the bejesus out of you, and then before you know it, they're like, "Hey." You said you're in a grocery store, right? Hey, I wanted them carrots. You're like, I don't think so. And they're like, well, I want them. And then you just kind of, tap your hand on the sheath there, on the handle of the sword, and people are like, hey, maybe them are your carrots. I'm like, I think so. Don't make me remove my sword from my holster. I don't think you call us. I had a conversation, I think, on the 1st and 15th with a Cap about this. I don't think you call the sheath, the sword sheath, I don't think you call that a sword holster. Potato, that's what I'm saying.
No, I think that's right. I don't think you call it a holster. I think you call it a sheath.
Yeah, sheath. I think it's a sheath is what you want to call it.
Yeah, that sounds right, okay. But anyway, I like it. It's a nice sword. It seems like a nice sword anyway.
Well, you're going to have to, maybe, I know you said you didn't want to say how much it was, live on air, but maybe you and I could exchange my information with you. You could tell me where you got it from. Maybe I could order it online or something and give me some kind of call, see how much that'd be, see how many, I got to kind of get my funds together. You know what I'm saying? Kind of in between houses right now. I'm kind of hanging out with my mom, but, then maybe I could figure something out there.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, okay? Can you guys just give Daryl my information? And then maybe Daryl, we could talk more about swords, okay?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'd like to talk more about swords with you. I mean, you got yourself a genuine ninja and or samurai sword right now. And I got a lot of questions I'd like to ask you about that. All right, so Gerald, did you want to tell us anything about any of the ad read jobs you've been doing, or how your motivational speaking's been going?
Oh yeah, I've been doing a lot of ad jobs. It's been fun. And then my motivational speaking, like I said before, okay, it's going real good.
Would you like to elaborate on that? Like kind of tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah, I mean, it's been going real good. I've been doing things and talking to people, and people seem real positive now, okay?
Okay, Gerald, do you have any more questions for Gerald about his new sword? No, that's about it right now. I don't want to give away trade secrets here, especially thinking about the cost of it. I know I didn't want to say how much it costs, so no, I'm good. I'll get in touch with him on email or something like that. All right. Well, I think we'll just go ahead and call it here. We don't have any other callers. So, Daryl, thank you for coming on to ask Gerald questions. Gerald, thank you for coming on and letting us know that everything's still going okay and that you got a new sword. Thank you, guys. Brock, did you have anything else?
No, that's, so, I'm sorry, just real quick. Daryl, if you're carrying the sword around, are you going to dress like a samurai?
Well, man, I don't know why I wouldn't. Okay. So you're going to dress like a samurai for sure if you carry a sword when you get the sword? Well, yeah. I mean, I want people to take me seriously. I'm just going to be walking around in my blue jeans and, and my Levi Strauss belt and a white T-shirt with a sword on my side. That just going to look ridiculous. That's a good point. It's a good point. Okay. All right. Anyway, as always, guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to check out my other podcast, The First and 15th, which I co-host with Cap over at Kaplowitz Media. You can check him out at kaplowitz.xyz. XYZ, going to take the world by storm anytime, any day now. If you would like to get a hold of us, you can do that through email. That's thefillswitch@gmail.com. Again, that's thefillswitch@gmail.com. We wish you all a great week, and we'll talk to you soon here at The Fill Switch.